2 years ago, on a night like this but a little busier, a drunk driver ran through this intersection. After collecting the stuffed animals today, some of the stuffed animals will stay on this fire truck. Officers say most of the 9 home invasions have been forced entries, leaving the suspects surprised. Employees and volunteers arrive early every morning to start cooking for over 200 people. Documentary Institute uses 40% of the state budget, which is about $250,000. for only 20 graduate students.
Law enforcement welcomes that ruling. WUFT's Kimberly Kuizon joins us from our TV newsroom with that part of the story. Kimberly?
Josh, they say the federal law is an important tool, and state laws also keep pressure on sex offenders to follow every single term of their probation. While the decision is fresh out of the federal appeals court, the Alachua County Sheriff's Office says the ruling will help all areas of the community.
It's an important tool that not only we as law enforcement have, but people in the community have. And I say that in the fact that once they register, citizens can go to FDLE's website, and it's very search friendly.
The FDLE's website gives anyone the option to search for offenders. There are more than 400 registered sexual offenders living in Alachua County. The court's upholding will help keep track of those that keep moving to the area.
Being on probation doesn't necessarily restrict your movement or mean you can't live one place or another, but this ruling and others means that we can have restrictions on that and knowledge about when and where it's going to be that these folks are at.
With federal and state laws in force, it's a layered strategy to help keep kids safe.
The more restrictions that are in place, the more we try to protect citizens. There's always going to be people that don't register and that, try to skirt around these laws.
Officers feel it's their job to make sure offenders are obeying the rules.
And that's what we have a job to do. We have a job to do in the sense that, we are the first line of defense for the community, and it's our job then to make sure that those people are playing by the rules.
ASO has a detective assigned to regularly work on tracking all registered offenders in the county. On top of that, the Sheriff's Office and the Gainesville Police Department often do mass sweeps to double-check that offenders are still living at the addresses they registered. Kimberly Kuizon, WUFT News.
Would you like to help us buy some food for the food bank, Manatee County Food Bank today?
During the week, teachers and school district employees are busy making sure students are learning. The weekend is always a time to relax, but some gave up their weekend to help others.
We have quite a number of homeless students in Manatee County. These students come from sometimes a single family, single parent home, and they really need our help.
Manatee County students and staff work together to stuff the bus. School buses pulled up at 15 public stores around the county. The goal? Fill each bus with food for the Manatee County Food Bank. Normally, students might cringe at the thought of spending their weekend on a bus, but today, none seem to mind.
I know that if I was in the same position as those people, I'd want people helping me so I could have something for Thanksgiving.
At each Publix, county shoppers could purchase a pre-made bag for the food drive. And although many who contributed are feeling the pinch from a tight economy themselves, they still pitched in to help others in need.
If they want to spend a little less, then they take the flyer and they go buy the buy one get one frees and give us littler bags, but it's working and it's for the community.
And organizers say they are very proud of Manatee County tonight and the generosity they showed as they lined up to stuff the bus.
When we arrived with the bus here this morning, we had several hundred bags ready to put on the bus.
Kimberly Kuizon, your Suncoast News. In the shadows of 17th Street and University Avenue, across from busy bars and restaurants, a group of people gathered last night to remember a man they'll never forget.
He wouldn't want everybody crying and to be sad and want them to keep going. I think he'd be proud of his children. They're both doing well and will graduate on time, and both want to be firefighters and paramedics, so follow after their dad.
Attention all units, we will now observe a moment of silence in remembrance of Lieutenant Kuizon.
On April 2nd of 2007, while students were celebrating the Gator Basketball National Championship title, GPD Lieutenant Kuizon was working. 2 years ago, on a night like this but a little busier, a drunk driver ran through this intersection and hit Lieutenant Dahlem. After 22 years of service to GPD, Dahlem died 2 days later. Gainesville lost a police officer, husband, and father of 2.
They lost someone who cared a lot about the community. They also lost a wonderful musician. Not too many people know that he used to play bass in a group called the Crown Vics.
Even with the passing of time, life will never be the same for those who knew Dahlem.
Corey lost his life to a drunk driver, and because of that, he won't walk his daughter down the aisle. He's not going to be there with his son when he's married. He's going to miss out on all these things, and more importantly, his family's going to miss out on all that.
Last night, while people were gathering a few feet away from where Dahlem was hit, a driver who wasn't paying attention almost hit a group of paramedics on bikes. Officers say people need to be more aware of their actions.
Be very mindful when you go out, when you're partying. Think about the consequences of drinking and driving and what can actually happen, whether you involve a police officer or a citizen that's out there.
Special units, we will now resume normal traffic. It's 21
It's bragging rights. Bragging rights.
It's bragging rights. Ask any football fan in Florida. Go ahead, just ask them. They know. When it comes down to the Gators and the Noles, the rankings don't matter.
No matter whether there's a winning or losing season, if you beat FSU, you had a good year.
It doesn't matter where the teams are. If they're top 10, if they're number 1 and number 2, if they're not even in the rankings, it's just a bragging right game.
Through the decades, the teams have changed, but the fans still agree. The face of the competition will always remain the same. Ugly.
It doesn't matter who's coaching the teams. There'll always be a tough rivalry between the two schools.
Never changed. These kids grew up. They always play against each other. It's always state bragging rights.
Florida State! Florida State! Whoa! For the Gators! Stand up and holler!
The Gators are #1 in the country, and that still doesn't seem to matter to these crazed Seminoles.
We would love to knock them off of being #1 this year, of course, and give back those bragging rights.
Every single year, it's never a given.
So what bothers fans most about each other?
The Gator chomp thing is a little bit annoying, I would say. That's hard to put up with.
Fans can be a little nasty sometimes. You don't have to be.
It's not the FSU Seminoles.
When it comes down to the final snap,
Florida probably always looked down on Florida State a little bit.
FSU's a fine school, but Florida happens to be a better one.
Whoever wins gets the bragging rights for 1 year until the teams meet again. Kimberly Kuizon, your Suncoast News.